Greetings. My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video live on YouTube. Out to you because you're watching. Thank you. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core Core, and anyone interested in surviving as a Pilates instructor, whatever that is. Okay, so I only have 3 titles today: Living in Denial, Franchising, and Licensing MMP Photos. Those are the 3. And of course, the biggest thing that the biggest lightning storm of intellectual curiosity and reflection and inquiry is about living in denial. And I'm talking about what's coming is franchising. And I guess when you don't know, it's not so much denial as not knowing. But in the not knowing, because forewarned is forearmed, knowing about something can help. Living in denial. Really, I've been thinking or having a discussion with you in my head, and wanting it to be worthy of our relationship and something where value is attempted to be put out in the hope that value can be drawn from it, right? The whole sharing thing. So, to me, living in denial means thinking that the past that you grew up in, and I'm speaking about the Pilates culture, will be the culture that we move into, be the future, that the past will be the future, and because we only know the past and we're not sure the future, I think you're living in denial if you think that there won't be more of an effort to discern or differentiate what you offer versus what any franchise would offer. See, what is a franchise? To me, a franchise is big money. A franchise, because it's big money, it's many locations. And a franchise, because it's big money and many locations, and will use its own teacher training material to hone the teachers that they want to deliver in their environment, right? So follow the money, right? Follow the money. And for one, I think as a Pilates instructor, I recommend that you learn how to be. See, here's my point. Okay. If you're becoming an instructor right now, you want to become an instructor teaching Pilates, what certification do you want? What, piece of paper or what training do you want that will give you the highest likelihood of making money and being able to make money at a broad variety of locations spread across the country and, of course, around the world, right? If that's really the piece of paper you need access to get to do whatever your thing is individually, be above and beyond what's expected of an instructor that works there, So, and so. And because of that, or from another angle, you have teachers that have a lot of experience that want to sustain income streams, and that may be the only income stream that is available, no matter what you think of it. So I'm saying it's important to survive as a Pilates instructor, not to let a preconceived attitude get in your way. And I think the better you are as a Pilates instructor, the more you can participate as a Pilates instructor in anybody else's theater. Unless they want to make Pilates something other than what it is. Now that was a... No, I don't mean that. I don't mean that. One of the reasons I say be real and you're living in denial is because what I hear is this worry, this expression of concern about the future, which is an attitude of fear toward the future, that even when the franchise arrives, what they teach will be different than and better than what's available in the franchise. But when you look around and see that a lot of the teachers that have more experience than you do in how to teach Pilates are also working for the franchise, and your argument loses some of its gravity, because the people that are working for the franchise also know about the detail that's expected in the performance of the method, right? So now, in terms of how this might concern you and your ability to be a Pilates instructor and make a living off of that when there are other competing opportunities for students to go learn and do Pilates. So consider time frames. And this concern that we're talking about what's going to happen, and will there still be a market for the Pilates that I think is precious and dear, and will the big commercial product necessarily be crude and primitive, right? Not necessarily, as I've explained. So I want to bring up the point about Pilates doing for you versus you doing for Pilates. Because if you're concerned about the future of Pilates and what the franchise is going to happen, you're pretty much in your thing, and within your lifetime, surely it will change, but you'll still be able to skate along on the presumptions of your history. Okay? But beyond your lifetime, and considering Pilates, what can you do for Pilates that will make it more accessible to more people with a clearer conception of what it is they're aware of. That it's a sensation, and that you know how to make the sensation. See? So living in denial, I think, is thinking that it's a money thing that has no concern about Pilates other than by what it can seduce out of the market from its representation of what it is. And my point would be that it can only represent Pilates to a certain depth of accuracy. And like so many people that have commented, you know, it's like, well, we'll teach it better or whatever, and all that. That's all true. But you're kidding yourself. I think you're kidding yourself and you're in denial if you don't think that Michael Miller Pilates as a point of view has a future, and that in that future it goes where the franchise won't go until the end of its effort to completely control the market, and they'll try to consume, buy out the premier brand that stands in contrast to what they offer. So down the line, I think there's a buyout. But way before that, I think a lot of people will be affiliated with the brand, with Cornu, because so few other people are. You used to be able to say you're doing Pilates and nobody knew that. Everybody knows what that is now. And what it's going to be presented as more and more is what is most influencing the monetary income stream. And I think that even though all of Pilates heads towards the ideal that exists within it, it will take the franchise, the big player, the biggest players, the longest to get around to acknowledging that essence. And so living in denial to me is thinking that your history of who you learned from and who you knew and how you got to what you are, and your subjective impression of what Pilates is that you seek to protect so desperately, so that you can continue in your scenario of reality making Pilates what you want it to be. I do it too, and I'm aimed at the brightest light I see, which to me is coming off of what appears to be ideal in nature. The complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit as an experience, right? So, all the hand-wringing about what will become of me in the changes that are happening in the Pilates culture, I hope will cause tension, meaning attention, to the question of what will happen to it. And to what extent you can influence the perception of what it is in the time that you have. That for me, what I am projecting is what empowers my student, you're listening, to be more autonomous and deeper in the understanding of what's there, right? That comes from like yesterday, set your students free, don't enslave them. So, franchising, and I talked all about franchising, I think, and that took me to licensing MMP photos, meaning my photos. A Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliate sent me an image for a workshop on the Reformer that had one of my images portrayed promoting somebody else's workshop. And I think Billy Joel and I would both claim that as being ripped off. And my affiliate let them know that that wasn't kosher to do, and it came down. And I'm grateful for both the protection and and complimented that someone picked that picture to use because it is extremely good, and has pushed me in the direction of making it easier to license MMP photos. So that the choice isn't just rip it off or don't use it, but the potential exists for using it and have a right to use it, and in having the right to use it, demonstrate your connection to the authority that exists within the image or images. See? Because the images speak for themselves. And so in licensing images, if they have any validity at all for what you want to connect to, depending on how you want to use them and how long and all those questions that can be done in a questionnaire, can make accessible to you images that are part of the most comprehensive, classical, available body of work that's out there. It's probably in existence. Even if you include the schools that have their own sets of images that they probably won't license out, maybe they'll start after they see others licensing mine. Okay. I have a high degree of confidence in the quality of the imagery, that especially for the equipment work and still photos that Sandra Murphy and I pretty much did together. And she was willing to sign releases all along the way and do it for the sake of just trying to capture it. And it's been out there and capturable, at least viewable, so I think that this may be the time to make available legitimately and legitimately, professionally, some of, one or part of, or a collection of the images that are part of the body of work, if they can in some way help you represent yourself, I hope, as a Pilates instructor, right? So, working on that. Everyone that's reassuring themselves about the quality of what they do, and that it will allow them to survive the tsunami of Pilates passion and all the money behind it, that's totally true. I would just say that in adding the perspective of the ideal in Joe's original work, it takes you to much higher ground, if not at least the area of the peak of the pyramid. And it gives a perspective that wherever else you decide to live on the mountain will reinforce and empower what you decide to do as your next instruction as a teacher. Okay, I'm going to see if I can synthesize this in what's coming up on Facebook. Thank you for listening. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines. See behind the curtain. Add 2 and 2. Direct your thinking. Direct your observing. Geist